What's up, guys? SpartanCat, and in today's BattleCats video, I'm going to be ranking the first 20 floors of Heavenly Tower. I'm going to do a 3-video series on this, 1 through 20, 20 through 40, and 40 through 50. I think the last 10 deserve their own video rather than the last 20, just because there's a lot going on from 40 to 50. But getting into the video, I don't think there's going to be anything ridiculously hard in this. I'm just going to put Heavenly Tower in general. I will rate Heavenly Tower. If you're going to do the whole thing, I do think overall it's difficult, but with the right strategies and the right units, you could beat stages. But some stages are very tough, and for anybody wondering, my personal least favorite stage is 446. Please comment yours down below. But getting into the list, I do think that at least the first 5 floors are cheeses, no matter where you are in the game. And I have beaten Heavenly Tower, but I'm going to try to ignore that and focus on what it would be like for a beginner or an intermediate player. But yeah, here, first 5, cheese. There's going to be other cheeses that pop in as well because you could cheese certain stages. Like 28, you could pretty much cheese that before the zombie comes to your base. But yeah, and I'll just put 6 through 9 in easy. No question. I think any point in the game you could beat these. But if you do need help, please let me know and I will help you with these stages. I just think that very simple structure. Maybe 4-9 you struggle with the Master A, but it's not going to be too difficult just because of the low magnifications of the enemies. So yeah, I'm going to put 4-9 there at the top of easy. And the other ones are all about the same, but yeah, I guess you could say, some are easier than others. So if you want to put it that way or whatever, it works for you guys, but I do think the first 9 are cakewalks. Moving on to 10. 10 is definitely harder than the other ones. So I'm going to have it on top of easy as well. Actually, you know what? I'll put it in the beginning of mid. This is where we get to like an actual stage where you might actually struggle on a little bit if you're just getting to it, or if you're going back and you've maybe gotten up to 15 or 20, then 10 might be a little challenging. So I'm going to have it in the beginning of mid right here. And once again, just for reference, overall, you know what? I'm going to change that to meh. You know what? Next video, I'm going to have a tier in between difficult and extremely difficult because Heavenly Tower has some very, very annoying stages. So I might have to reevaluate the list, but the ratings will stay, and I'll explain each one. 410 is like the easiest middle stage in the game for this. So don't get too carried away with 10. There's going to be some random enemies. Some are actually pretty strong. Like there's a Cory in there. Not a Shockwave Cory, but a Cory holding a huge golden stick, and that does a lot of damage. There's a Celebrity Rule with a decent amount of health. A large one, not a normal one, but I think it's mid. But moving on, and there's going to be a lot of mids on this list. So let's see, 411, we have a bunch of red enemies on here. It's going to be similar to 421, but without the Cyclone. So yeah, and I'm just going to move 410 down to easy for the sake of the rest of the series because I don't want sharing a category with 430 something or whatever. So I'm going to keep it in easy. 411, I think that's the beginning of mid. And yeah, there's red enemies, so make sure to bring your units such as Elemental Duelist or Pirate or whoever you may have at this point in the game. Also, make sure to bring in any anti-red Ubers. That will surely help you. And of course, this goes for the rest of the list. Make sure you have treasures, all right? I don't want to hear that the enemies are ripping you apart when you have 6 superior treasures at this point. Unless if you're brand new and you're just trying this out. But keep in mind, treasures are the cornerstone of the game. They suck to get, but you never have to get them when you're done. Number 12. So we have floating. So we have owls. We have Bun Bun here. And yeah, kind of the same deal. Make sure to bring in cameraman, or if you're earlier in the game. Man, it's been a while. He's gonna be wearing a hard cap. What's his name? How did I forget? how did I forget his original name? But bring in Cameraman. He is very solid, and whoever else you may have that could outrange them, maybe Sadosku Cat, first form of octopus. Let's move on. But yeah, basic, somewhat basic. I mean, be careful of Bun Bun for sure. With the floating owls, they could be a little dangerous. I think there's bats in there too, which aren't much of a deal, but definitely make sure to bring in anti-floating. Maybe bring in Sanzo if you have him. I think if you're past 10, then you should be around the end of Empire of Cats, maybe after Empire of Cats. So this probably shouldn't be the first time you fight Bun Bun. So I would say go into this stage like you would do with Empire of Cats Chapter 3. I think that's a better way to put it. Apologies for the confusion there. 4 of 13 is going to be blacks and red. So be prepared for that. Predominantly black. Not too bad, but there's some tanky enemies and there's a bit of rush power, so be aware of that. I should be going this way because they tend to get progressively harder, but bring in Bomber Cat if you have them, or even just Flower Cat, but definitely Bomber Cat if you have them. If you're lucky enough to have an anti-black Uber at this point, like Castor Jizzo, bring him in. He will help you a lot. You could bring in Pizza Cat, the whichever form that you might have. Obviously, at this point in the game, don't worry about talents or anything like that, or even true forms. If you have a true form, take it as a plus. And I really do apologize for not remembering the first or second forms of some of these cats, but do use those cats if you could kind of translate the forms for me. I would agree. I would appreciate that. 414 will be all metal enemies, so please be aware of that. If you have critical hitters, you kind of have to bring them here. You don't have much of a choice. And if you don't have metal units or critical hitters, I would not recommend you attempting this stage just due to the sheer power and force of metal enemies when you don't have anything to scale them back. You're not going to beat a super metal hippo and a bunch of those rhinos without... Ooh, and the seals too, man. I almost forgot those. Those seals are my Achilles seal. You get it? But anyways, make sure to bring in your critical hitters and metal controllers because this stage will be a hellhole if you do not bring them. If you bring them, then it will be reasonable, but definitely bring in your meat shields and any Ubers like Marauder you may have. And if you're lucky enough to have a legend like Hayasaka Nanaho or something like that, definitely bring in Jurassic Cat. He will help you a lot. And moving on from 414 will be 415. So there's a mix of traitless and angels in here. There's also one of those dogs that produce waves, so be careful of that. I don't think it's as hard as 14, honestly. Yeah. And the thing with this is you're going to see some guys from Old Guys About Town. It's a collab event every September, and there are going to be some old men fighting you. So if you want to bring in Gal or anything like that don't worry too much about this, honestly. Just bring in any good Uber. But if you do have a Fest Uber, definitely bring it. And again, at this point, you should be past Bun Bun. So you probably have some Ubers laying around. You're getting some true forms. So when you start getting into the teens here, then I assume that you're past Empire of Cats. But if you're not and you need a strategy, please let me know. I do think 15 is a little easier than 14. But if you have a bunch of metal enemies, then I'm wrong. 16 is all angels. So I'm going to put that here. It's not too bad. Sunfish Jones isn't too powerful unless it's very magnified in terms of strength. And when it's not, it's just kind of a nuisance. But bring in Ramen Cat or, in that case, wait a minute. Rocker Cat. Yeah, Rocker Cat. Bring Rocker Cat in. Or Artist Cat. I remember him. But yeah, bring him in and other anti-angels you may have. Whatever you do, don't bring in Eggy Cat. There's a whole war going around that Eggy Cat's good. I stand against him. I think Eggy Cat is horrible. And that's just a hot take. If you guys want to respond to that, feel free. But don't worry too much about 16 unless if you particularly struggle against angels. And again, for any of these, please let me know if you have any difficulties with my video in terms of strategy, or if you guys are just stuck on the stage in general, let me know and I will get you guys a strategy and some advice. For 17, it's going to be a bunch of aliens, and aliens at this point you should have a decent amount of power against, just because you're into the future at this point, and you're probably rolling elemental pixies because you think the idea of knockoff Pokemon is amazing. So you probably have a couple laying around. If you don't, for aliens, I would recommend bringing good generalists, because aliens don't do a ton of special things at this point in the game. They're just kind of middle of the road attack, middle of the road health. So bring in generalists that could deal with them if you do not have them. But if you do, bring in Castaway. He's a great option. And let me think. Another good anti-alien you guys could probably bring could be... I know I'm forgetting something. Oh, Spoon Cat. With the Psycho Cat. Yeah, with the spoon. That's right. Bring him. And also you have Chill Cat, who is Wheel Cat. That's right. I'm on a roll right now. Bring them in. And obviously, if you have any Ubers or anything, bring them in. They will help you. And some of these stages are, honestly, you can put them in cheese if you have the right strategy, or easy. But all in all, I mean, they're not too bad. 18, things get a little harder because there's a bunch of zombie enemies, and there's going to be, what's his name? Lord Gravy, right? Yeah. So don't worry too much about Lord Gravy, as long as you bring in units that outrange him. I'd recommend you guys bring in Saigon Cat. What's his first form? Saifu. Saifu's true form is Saigon. So bring in Saifu Cat. And he's just great. If you have other anti-zombie units, bring them in. Kind of the same thing as the other ones. You know, most of these stages are very targeted towards one, maybe two traits. So keep that in mind and pack accordingly. Going for 419, it's actually a mixed stage. So as I say that, just the fact that it's mixed, it might catch some people off guard. No, it's not difficult. Yeah. So just bring in generalists. Obviously, if you have any Festubers or great units like Aphrodite or Kronos or anything along those lines, just great generalists or specialists, please consider bringing them. And even just cheap attackers or cheap support units, they'll probably help you too here. But after 20, things do get a bit harder. So keep that in mind. And speaking of 20, I will cover 420 today. And 20. If you have Gao or anything, it will be easier. But I do think it's the hardest stage up to this point. If you do not, and you're going to see true forms of some of the special cats like Dancer, Gato Amigo, units like that. So I highly recommend you to bring in Festubers or anti-traitless. But if you have that under control, then this stage shouldn't be too bad. You will get a good amount of cash, but do not underestimate the strength of some of these units. Some of these units have a lot of health, like Dancer, and some of them in the future are going to have a lot of push power, like the zombies. So do not underestimate them. But this is 1 through 20, and if you beat 20, congratulations. Enjoy your rare ticket. That goes with 410 as well. And be on your way. I hope that you guys beat 420 and check out in the future 4s 21 through 40, which I'm going to have to do a lot of research on because that's an intricate part of the series. But that awaits us, and you can see I will go down to 50. I will save this template, and that is a wrap on this video. If you guys enjoyed this, found this helpful, any of that, please make sure to leave it down below in the comment section, or just any thoughts in general, please comment them. Just remember to keep it civil. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a Spartan Cat upload. And if you disagree with anything, once again, make sure to leave it down in the comment section. And just remember to keep it civil. But thank you for making it this far. I really appreciate it. And Spartan Cat signing off. Have a good one. Peace.